I love the idea of Mortal Online 2, and there's a lot of games that are coming out. I'm going to try to take a look at all of them. I'm going to try to get back into doing some video game content, but I love the idea of what Mortal Online 2 wanted to do. Now, what broke my heart about Mortal Online 2 is that they never really stood a chance. And when I say they never really stood a chance, their numbers have always been bad. Like, they've never had more than 9,600 players on at one time. If you go back a ways, all the way back to July of 2022, they were averaging like 659. That was in some like early testing, and then they grew, and you can see they've never really hit even reliably 1,500 players. And I think there's something to be said here about the idea of persistent sandbox worlds with no classes or levels, right? I think that's what players want. I really do. I genuinely do believe players want and Baldur's Gate 3 showed us this. If you didn't know this about Baldur's Gate 3, you can multi-class. You can multi-class one level in each of 12 classes if you want. You don't end up with a very powerful, a very effective character at that point, but you can do it. Players are moving away from on the rails theme park, but people still want structured activity. I know a lot of people say they want a completely open world, no rules, and the problem with that is then when you do that, you end up with this. You end up with 896 people. Another game that is similar, right, to similar to Mortal Online 2 is Fractured Online, and breaks my heart with Fractured Online. Fractured Online was near and dear to me, and they ended up they have 12 people playing as of 23 minutes ago. 23 people played in the last peak, and then when you look at Fractured's history, the most they've ever had playing at one time was 264. So that tells us that there's a lot of people looking at open world sandbox games. Now, I don't know Mortal Online 2. My biggest exposure to Mortal Online 2 was I tried to get into their testing, one of those testing weekends that they had testing, and their servers kept crashing. And I thought that was a that bode very, very poorly for them. That was a very, very bad marketing showing. Now, the only time I've had a chance to sit down here, let me turn off my music. The only time I've had a chance to sit down with their game was I got this far. And let me tell you, it is so important for game designers to get the character creator right. And when I dropped in, this is what you get. This is my second time seeing it. I only was healthy enough to take a real quick look. The problem here, they do a really, really, really good job with their character creator, because it lets me know like clade, gender doesn't matter, dominant, secondary doesn't matter. But the biggest thing, I have the graph up. Thank you. Why are you so not sized right? So the biggest thing here is they did a great job. This is a sponsored stream? No, it's not a sponsored stream. I was given an evaluation key, but it's not a sponsored stream. They're not paying me anything. I don't work directly with the company. No, I don't work directly with Star Vault. No. What I see a lot of companies do, a lot of character creators are, you have no idea what your stats are. You have absolutely no idea what your stats are. And this was one of the things I begged Dynamite Studios with Fractured to do. Tell me what the stats actually accomplish, because I'm making a character. I don't know. So I'm a human. Oh, now and Alvarian, right? It tells me their strengths, but you see how there's just too much information overload here? Are you new to the game? I'm very new to the game. At 100% new to the game. I look at the games from more a first look of this game compared to all the games across the board. But character creator is so important because it's like your first, like on Steam, especially since you can refund up to 2 hours. Right now you have information overload. It's nice that I know what my attributes are, but those are pretty meaty. These are some pretty meaty stats. So I'm like, okay, 50, 50, 50, 25, 25. Okay, I'm dumb as a box of rocks, right? So let me go back to humans. Okay. I'm still dumb as a box of rocks. I'm still dumb as a box of rocks. And as I cursor through everybody, I'm noticing I'm not dumb as a box of rocks. All my attributes are 50, 50, 50, 25, 25. Okay. So good. Now I start figuring out, you know, because if you've been gaming a long time, you start to figure out, is that 50 out of 98? Well, let me see. 50 out of 98, 50 out of 86. Ooh, wait a minute. Dex. Ooh. So what we can see here is Masters of Survival between their lightning speed and powerful survivability. 120, 100. You know, we click back. 196. Okay. Okay. Best MMO of all time. Thanks. So now, you know, as we start cursoring through, we're like, okay, I like it. We got a lot of different races inside of each clade. And this was really what I started taking my notes on. I was like, okay, they did a good job of giving you variety. Now, does the variety matter? Well, we won't know until we get into game. So start to think to myself, am I going to bust out the calculator and start figuring out the min max? I'm like, nah, we won't do that. Start looking through, you know, because you sometimes you gotta just dive in. Now, the problem with just diving in is what you just said. The character creation and build variation in this game is insane. You will most likely butcher your first character if you care about the meta min-max. Exactly. And that's the problem with a game that is designed to be a persistent sandbox with no classes or levels. If you don't have the theme park element of attractions, right? Then people fall in love with their first character when they play a game. They get an emotional attachment to their first character. So you want to kind of get it right. And so, you know, not knowing more about the game, it's first person, it's full loot, it's full PvP. That's already such a niche. That's such a niche genre that I think it's great that they have all this variation. But then, as Anita Woody said, people play the same 7 things. Same age, clade, and race, right? So, and I personally don't care, right? So I'm like, oh, big, strong, stupid looking. Hey, it fits, right? What I really found interesting was the bloodline, right? This is what I found really, really interesting, and I think more games should look at this. You can change your heritage. You can change your heritage, like your grandparents. So then it changes your secondary. I thought this is something that more games should explore. Maybe not have as many options here, but give you more tweakability. What am I planning? Mage, Foot Fighter, or something else? I'm not planning anything. I'm planning to just explore the game from the word go, because I don't have an agenda. I don't have any knowledge. I don't have people waiting for me. So I'm just looking at the game and what it does really well. And I think this is something it does really well. I would like to see more games. I would like to see more games possibly look at this heritage. Sounds like you'll be re-rolling, but first character will teach you a lot. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, in a game like this, you hit the nail right in the head. You're going to learn a lot from your first character and you're going to re-roll. The problem is many gamers don't want to do that. Many gamers, if they don't play through their first character, what they say is, I enjoyed it. My adventure is over. Right? Yeah. And Anita Woody, you're exactly right. I will say if you were to go on this game for months, you will 100% reroll this character. And the reason people leave is they don't want to reroll. 100%. People do not want to re-roll their character. And that is why we saw a lot of failure with Fractured. We saw a lot of failure with Mortal Online. Because I'm not saying it's a bad game. I haven't gotten into it yet. But its numbers say its players say it's a failure. I'm not saying it's a failure. But I'm saying a game that has never hit over 10,000 simultaneous players doesn't even have 1,000 simultaneous players now. There's obviously an issue, but what I'm seeing is the developers had a lot of tender loving care with just the character creator, because the character creator tells me a ton about the game. Now, what I will say is this. Goose tells me, am I planning mage, foot fighter, or something else? Well, there's a problem. And the problem is, I have no idea how that's you see what I'm saying? I get that there's no pre-build, there's no classes, right? And there's no levels. But they haven't told me that in the character creator. They've told me, here's a species, here's some attributes, here's your bloodline, but they haven't grabbed me and said, this is what this stuff means. Now, attributes, right? This is where, having talked to some Mortal Online 2 players, and I'm just going to ignore what you said because I'm not trying to min-max. I'm trying to go into it as a completely blind new player. I have no idea where I want to put these, right? You see what I'm saying? I have no idea where I want to put these points, right? Because it makes no sense to me. Heavy weapons, dexterity, right? It's fine. If he acts off the rails, I'll ban him. If he behaves, I won't ban him. Constitution affects your health, stamina, maximum carrying weight, and maximum armor weight. Okay, so being a tabletop player, throw a few points in there. Intelligence affects your mana, effectiveness with magic, and book reading speed. Psyche affects your mana and resistance to magic. Well, it's like my lowest stat. And dexterity. Now I know, based on what somebody's already said, these are probably terrible stats. And this is where game developers need to realize I needed some help here, right? I needed some more understanding of the I needed some more understanding of your game in the character creator. Like you assigned me, right? You assigned me stats 50 50 50 25 25, but you didn't I don't know what I'm going to need. So, I know this just based on fucking 40 years of gaming experience, but we're going to go with it. Now, appearance, I don't care, right? I generally don't give a shit. You can change stats anytime except size. No, so max your size and continue. And then starting location, Haven, first name. There we go. Your weight affects your stats, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that as a new player, so I wouldn't know that. So we're just gonna go in. So I think Mortal Online 2's character creator started up. Nope, I don't know about age. I don't know about it because it didn't really give me a, an idiot light that said this is what age is. You're currently on Haven, the tutorial island. Here you'll have access to both combat and crafting tutorials. To begin the combat tutorial, travel towards the sword and shield icon found on your compass. To begin the crafting tutorial, travel towards the hammer and anvil. You can switch by traveling between each objective. WASD to move, shift to sprint. See, this is good. Now, I know people are going to say, I don't need that crap because it's always the same in every game. Sure. But it is a good thing to have, right? It is a good thing to have. Press R to continue. Right? So we'll run over here first. Yeah, it needs to be more of a handheld in the beginning. And somebody just said new player experience is the problem. Yes, the new player acquisition funnel is directly tied to the new player retention rate. If you don't do a good job presenting information, you won't retain players. Hey, look at that. Before we can craft a weapon, we need to gather some materials. The handle of your weapon will need a material for the grip. Cotton is a light material that is easy to find. Follow the hammer and anvil marker on your compass to the cotton field outside the gate. Okay. I do agree with your point. I just logged in and I see no one. I did see one person. So what I will say is I know I'm joining a game that was released 2 years ago. So I'm not expecting the tutorial area to be jam-packed, right? I'm not expecting that. If I was in a game the same time as launch, then yes, you'd be right. I'd agree with you. Now, see, I see a person. I see a guard. I see some guards. For how long they've been developing this game, they should have fixed this a long time ago. Yes, and unfortunately, it is the biggest flaw I see in most games. The new player acquisition experience. Even WoW struggles with this. Oh, hey, cotton can be harvested with no extra tools. Hold R while looking at the cotton to gather it. You will keep gathering cotton while holding R until the resource runs out, but we only need to gather 50 for now. I think I need to bump your guys' audio up a little bit more. Okay. Your new weapon will need a material for its core and blade. Dapple wood is a type of wood that grows nearby and can be used to craft a simple training blade. Follow the marker on your compass to find the dapple wood trees. Okay. You need to cast a spell first. I don't know why. Your loot goblin ass would mine out that whole field. Now I will say the audio is pretty good. A bush pig. I don't think I'm intended to mess with the bush pig right yet. Oh, party foul, man. I can see an axe, but I can't pick it up. It's okay, I'm on the tutorial island. We're playing a game today. Yes, we're playing a game. This was one game that I did have high hopes for. Way back in the day. I had really high hopes for Mortal Online 2. I will say the ambient audio is really good. Gathering wood requires you to have a weapon equipped. To gather wood, hold R while looking at the tree. You will automatically draw your weapon and start chopping. Okay. Hey, they gave me a free sword. I'm cutting down a tree with a sword. Now, I do like the fact that in the lower left-hand corner, my stats are getting better as I do things. My constitution is going up, my gathering is going up, my woodcutting is going up. That is very EverQuest-like, very Final Fantasy 11-like. I think that is the way. I think that is the way games should be. As opposed to an artificial cap, I should be able to be good at everything. Return to the crafting table. So, yeah, we're not giving me tips. We're letting me we're letting me find all the flaws in the game as a new person. So, but I think the idea of putting, like, I know a lot of people don't like Final Fantasy 14, where it's really, really easy to get all of your crafting to max level. What was... Yes, X. But I think the idea that you can level up everything with everything getting a penalty to leveling up, I think you should be able to do everything on one character. I saw somebody else say that's why people like Final Fantasy 14 or Arcade, because you can have everything on one character if you spend the time. Hi, pigs. Don't hurt me, pig. Okay, bacon. But no, I like the old school idea of, okay, I just chopped down some trees. I got better at chopping trees. I think that's a good feature. I think that's how it should be. I also don't mind if there's a little randomness to it. I don't think one tree should equal one skill point. Hi, guard. The soundtrack is nice. I'll give him that. I'm getting too old to be flipping to 30 different characters, right? Okay. Crafting a weapon requires several steps to start. Hold R to open the weapon crafting menu, then left click on the type of handle you want. From there, add a material to the grip by right clicking the material in your inventory. Keep in mind, weapon grips can only be made from certain materials like silk, cotton, wool, fur, and leather. Do the same for the material you want to use as the core, which the sword represents. Then left click on your desired weapon head, and lastly, right click a material in your inventory to add to the weapon head material slot. To make your new weapon, hold down left click on the hold to craft button. Okay. Swords, one-handed. A turned hilt. A heavy short blade. Who am I, fucking Link? I'm making a wood sword? Congratulations, you just made your very first sword. It's not very sharp or dangerous, but it's a start. Let's see what it looks like by pressing tab to open your inventory. Holy shit. At least there isn't a blue ball yelling, hey, listen. Yeah, right? Tab. Dapplewood heavy short blade. Steel short blade. Damage 568. Damage 03. So you had me. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You gave me a free steel short blade. But you had me make a Dapplewood heavy short blade with a turned hilt. Draw your new sword. Oh yeah. People shall fear me because I am Peter Pan. I am Peter Pan, baby, with the wood sword. Hey, suicide? Awesome. Close the character window in inventory. To expand the list of things you craft, you need to read skill books. Books are sold by librarians and vendors around the world, but they won't give them away for free. Well, what the fuck? They're librarians. Libraries are supposed to be free. Vendors will accept most resources in return for their items. So let's chop down some more Dapplewood to trade for a skill book. My weapon crafting went to 6. My combat movement increased. Yeah, see, we're making progress. We're making progress. I didn't think so. Because the R icon didn't pop up. See, I think there's a problem here too. I should be able to, if this is supposed to be a persistent sandbox world, then I should be able to harvest this tree. I'm just saying. I don't know why we're saying it's a sandbox. But then you can't, it's not a sandbox. The key to a sandbox is very few limitations. Like I said earlier, there's an axe here. Well, I should be able to pick it up. But then it would be gone. Well, yeah, that's the point. At least they spent the time to put in pretty flowers. You learned a new skill, melee combat. You learned a new skill, swords. Crude map. Map simple. I'm not going to stab the pig. The pig did nothing to me. Pig did not hurt my feelings. It was coming right for me. Well, yeah, but that's okay. The pig voted on more tolls in Florida. Speaking of tolls in Florida, man, I got to get my Florida toll pass for my trip down there later this year. Some are pickable, some are harvestable. Yeah, and that's fine. But if you're going to call your game a sandbox, then everything should be harvestable. See, and as opposed, I think this is fine for gathering. I was worried about the minigame aspect. Everybody's like, we need a minigame. Your weapon is broken. Whoa. The durability of your current weapon has reached 0 and the weapon has been destroyed. Every piece of equipment has a durability. Durability is calculated when the item is crafted and calculated using a type of materials. Continue the tutorial by equipping another weapon from your inventory. No. I don't think I will. I don't think I will. I think what I will do is go make another weapon. So now I don't remember where the hell the town is. But I can cheat it because I can go towards the other training icon. So I like that right there. What they just did. I like it so that they didn't like they threw a monkey wrench into the works. Right? They threw a monkey wrench in the works. Most games, they say, make this item, now go do this, now go do that, and there's never any adversity. Well, here it's like, make this sword. Okay, I went and made the sword. Now go do this other thing and go chop 100 logs. But wait, you can't, because now you've just encountered the weapon you made was crap. Your landing technique increased to 0. Oh, well, that's good. Put your fists down. There you go. So no, that I like that. That's smart. So far, I'm going to give them like the thumbs up on the tutorial, but they need to spend like, they need to do a tutorial inside of their character creator. You need 51 units of wood and I don't have it. Oh, okay. I might enjoy this game if I don't mind that. No, I think it's a good way to do it. All right. So hey, it's Joe. Joey! We're gonna go do the other tutorial and then see what comes of it. Combat tutor. What type of combat? Oh, see. What type of combat are you interested in? Let's not have any colorful dialogue. It's just, it's right, it is right there. I like it. Sometimes colorful dialogue doesn't add anything to the experience. I do want to steal your sword, though. Thank you for the advice, but I wouldn't know that as a new player. I'm trying to struggle as a new player would. Go to the. Okay, so I see the oh. Appreciate the follow. I see the problem. I can't come to the other quest because I'm on my quest and it wants, oh, tab, equip another one. Let's see if it over. Oh, okay. Basic combat. Before you engage in melee combat, you need to draw your weapon. You can perform a quick strike by pressing the left mouse button. In order to deal maximum damage, you'll need to strike directly with the blade or the head of the weapon. If you stand too close or don't position your weapon correctly, you'll end up striking with the handle. Handle hits deal far less damage than clean hits. Using your weapon will raise your skill with that weapon. The higher your skill level, the more damage you deal. Hit the training dummy 3 times. Clicking to attack is fast but deals very low damage. In order to deal 100% damage, you need to charge your attack. Okay. You can perform 4 types of attacks while in melee combat. Left, right, and overhead attacks deal slashing, while stab deals piercing. To change your attack direction, move the mouse left, right, up, or down after holding the left mouse button. Now that you know how to attack, you need to know how to block. You can perform a block by holding down the right mouse button. Very intuitive. Just like an attack, you can aim your block by moving. Okay, so like Chivalry 2. Yeah, I'm waiting on Alpha 2 for Ashes of Creation because they've changed directions so many times. After 6 years of following the game and them making radical changes over those 6 years, I'm just waiting for Alpha 2 when they know what they're building. Now that you know the basics, it's time to test your skills against something that fights back. Almost all towns have graveyards just outside their borders. Graveyards are filled with walking corpses that need to be put back in the ground. The undead are slow opponents but can be deadly in groups, so be on your guard. If you find yourself in a tricky situation, simply run out of the graveyard, as the undead will not follow you for very long. Well then. I will say the melee combat is better than Shiv 2's. So that's good. Chivalry 2 is a good game. Unfortunately, it's another game that never really took off, which was a shame. It's fun, it's entertaining, but it's unbalanced. It's very, very, very unbalanced. I don't know, but the place that looks like Disney's Haunted Mansion may be where I'm headed. I'm just saying. There are many ways to regain health, but you can use potions, magic, and bandage, but the most common way is to rest. To use the resting skill, press L to open the skill window and click the resting icon. Resting is a skill that can be trained. As your skill level increases, so will the amount of health you gain from it. Press L to close. Feel like graveyards consistently, fantasy worlds where graveyards constantly have undead spawning would get on board with cremation really quickly. Yeah. I would tend to agree with you. It's time for some real combat. To parry an attack, you need to block in the correct direction just before the attack hits you. You will know that you have performed a successful parry when you see sparks coming off your weapon. After a parry, you can strike with a counterattack. Okay. I think the game already has way too high of expectations for me. Wow. The short sword's range is very short. I have a walking... I have a dead dog's corpse. The CEO of the game does a live stream, 2 to 3 hour stream every 2 weeks showing development updates. You don't see many other games with that level of access to a game CEO. He just did one yesterday showing a big improvement to the melee system, which will be in the next patch. Nice. No, I can barely handle one of you guys at a time. I'm not fighting two. Wow, okay. Yeah, I could see why you said you spent a lot of time practicing on these guys. Because, yeah, you're going to spend a lot of time practicing. After a parry, yeah, you want me to... So it wants me to parry. Am I encumbered already? Is that what that icon is? Too much weight. I am encumbered. Wow, that's a whole lot of them. Where's the necromancer when you need one? Wow, they're all gaggle fucked up, man. What the hell? Oh, here's a single guy. Yeah, I'll have to come back and practice a lot. Practice a whole lot. Oh, am I supposed to be fighting multiple zombies at one point? Is that Did I misinterpret the warning they gave me? Because the warning that they gave me, the warning they gave me was like, don't do this. Like they were pretty clear in their warning, don't do that. They were pretty clear that in, oh, I didn't finish healing. In a pack, they're deadly. What's up, first time chatter? All right. I will say I'll give them props on their parrying system. The fact that you have to direct the parry. Oh, so he left the pack. Okay. This is going to take a little bit of getting used to, because the last action game I played was Chivalry and the combat was way different. So it is going to take a while to get used to that. But I have my 1 of 3 credit. I did get a parry done. I did get one. So I'm gonna close that. I keep seeing I had the Steam page open. I keep seeing the movement at the corner of my eye. So far, it seems similar to Bannerlord. So far, I'll say I like the overall design of the game. I do feel bad that they don't... Oh, wait. Melee combat. Spears? Pole swords? Lances? Daggers? What we're talking about? I really don't want to fight him right in the doorway, because then he's gonna reset. Back here. Stab him in the butt. The melee change that's coming will allow for feinting and blocking to be the same as Mardu. It'll also allow attacks to be queued in a way currently additional attack commands are ignored if the timing is too early, which will make the game feel unresponsive. Another issue, zombies dropping bronze coins, no reason. No, I mean, zombies dropping gold coins does make sense. Not as many as they're dropping, but when people say it doesn't make sense that zombies dropping coins makes sense, because if they were left with coins in their pocket or coins on their eyes, I could see them dropping 2. But when skeletons drop, oh, not in terms of the lore. Okay, so there's lore I haven't encountered yet. I normally don't have a problem with zombies dropping 2 coins if they were coins put in the eyes. It has you as a new player looting the wrong way. The wrong thing? Oh, okay. Well, then I'm just going to keep doing what a new player would be doing. That's gonna be, the blocking is gonna be a challenge for me. Because the blocking is not intuitive to how I would want to do it. Because it's like push the mouse in the direction the attack is going to come. And then hit the right mouse button. And then hit the left. You can use the keys to block. Oh, so D plus right mouse button or A. It's in the menu option. Which menu option? Keybinds? Lock style. Gameplay. Block style. Oh. Movement keys. Okay. That right there should be in that tutorial. When they pop up that tutorial box, there should be a blurb right there for that. That would be so helpful. Why I chose Mortal Online 2 over other MMOs? Because they gave me a key. Let's say you're ready to go into the main world. Would you know how? No, I would not know how. If I wanted to go into the main world right now, I would not know how. But I would want to reserve that judgment until after I finish the tutorial. Because I wouldn't be expecting to leave Haven until I'm done with the tutorial. Now, this right here is probably going to be a controversial statement, but I could see this right here being a place that appreciate the follow, Mortal Online 2. I could see this right here being a place, because I'm about an hour in. I could see a lot of people having gotten to this part of basic combat being unable to complete the parry to counter, and then this being where people are like, oh, well, I'm at an hour in and I don't like the combat, so I'm just going to refund. I could definitely see this being a new player acquisition failure point. Because if I just bought the game and I couldn't figure out the combat, and I wasn't 100% sold, I would be like, no, let me just refund. This is why we update our combat system. Yeah, somebody was just mentioning that you're making it similar to other action games. Well, there's two. I think the other thing, if I don't know if you were here yet, but because if I didn't have viewers here, I wouldn't have known that there was a block. Let me step out, and I'm just gonna keep looting wrong, even though I'm not gonna change it because I haven't figured it out yet. When that little box comes up right when you get here, and it tells you about blocking, there needs to be a little blurb that says, or you can change your block style in settings, gameplay, block style, because I would have never found that if there wasn't a viewer here. And that's actually more my style as a player. So just right in that tutorial box where it says, this is how you perform a block, just one little blurb at the bottom. Boom. Or go into settings and change it. I think that would change it immensely. And then if you watch the beginning of my stream, I did talk about one thing about in the character creator. I didn't understand the stats, and all my audience was telling me, oh, you're going to end up re-rolling this character. But a lot of people don't want to re-roll their character. I think maybe a little tender loving care on a tutorial in the character creator so people understand what they're rolling would help with player retention. Because now that I know that I can block, and I was pretty successful on that one, we're going to try again. Nope, there's too many of you. He's over here. Oh yeah, and I didn't know Age did anything. Nope. Those are tricky as they have an impact in the long run, but that's also why we made sure those can be changed in game. Only thing you can't change are the clade options currently. Yes, I'm terrible at parry. That's why in other games I have a shield. I like block. I don't like parry. So we're all terrible at parry at first. Well, that's good. Then I'm in good company. Then I'm in good company. If people who are enjoying the game sucked at parrying, then it's good. Also, you have dedicated keys for everything. A plus block left, D plus block right. Yeah. I'm attempting. Oh, just block to block down. Okay. But my resting has increased to 25. So if anybody asks, I'm really interesting, but not interesting. I'm interesting. To be fair, once the new player finds out they need to change their age or height, they are usually linked up with a group of vets to give them a hand. I mean, I think that's a really key point to keep in mind. People that complain that they can't do everything solo are forgetting that they're not playing a single player RPG. They're playing an MMORPG. So I think that's, yeah, this isn't a solo player game. I think that's important for people to realize that there are single player MMORPGs like Final Fantasy 14. You can play with other people if you want, or you can play on your own. But immersive sandboxes, Eve, this, Fractured, Rust, DayZ, these require other players. Playing Mortal Online 2 is a bit popular also, though. It's a lot of solo enjoyed, even though some areas can be harsh. So we know this is something we need and been adding more content for such play style. I think I'm run away, flee. Yeah, the respawn animation from coming out of the ground, that was pretty solid. Go away, big guy. No, I don't want to be friends with you. Not yet. They're adding a notice board so you can see guild ads in game. I mean, meeting people in game and not founding a guild from scratch. Yeah, that is one thing I had heard about Mortal Online, that a lot of the socialization was outside of game. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think game companies need to do too much for in-game. Like, Intrepid Studios wants to, for Ashes of Creation, they're trying to have in-game voice. I think for some games, you got to use the in-game voice. Survival games, absolutely. But yeah, Discord has captured in-game chat for most people, and that's something you got to just accept, that there's a lot of people that they use Discord for everything. I mean, I see messages in the chat, right? But I don't think that, because I didn't know. Yeah, you have voice chat input and output. So, I'm gonna actually turn that off while I'm streaming. But you have voice chat. For a game like this, it's expected and needed. Like, again, I said, I turned it off because I'm streaming. If I was playing as a player, I would keep it on. I think people need to recognize that. I also think people, and I'm not taking shots at the younger generation, I think the younger generation has forgotten how to socialize. And seriously, just they've forgotten how to be social. We saw a big issue with ArcAge when it launched 8 years ago. people not waiting in line. You shouldn't ever have to wait in line for something, but on some servers, people were waiting in line to do their next quest. And the younger people were running to the front of the line and then not understanding why they were getting a bad reputation. I think a lot of it is older developers are making games, but they might be slightly out of touch with the younger demographic. I think this is an issue before. Bandages should be introduced to new players. We've been waiting 2 minutes. Yeah. I was going to say something about that. Increased regen during the tutorial. Like while you have basic combat, trying to learn your parry, increased health regen, and then once that's done, or bandages being introduced beforehand. Like, hey, those undead are dangerous. Let's teach you how to make bandages. Because that might spark some people's bad memory of the years of EverQuest where you did sit for 2 minutes between mobs. See, I can't. It's the block that I'm not successful at. No way again. Right. I that's what I'm attempting to do. So if it comes from the right, I block to the right. Oh, you're gonna come out and ruin my day. No, you're gonna go away. Appreciate the follow. That was like weird because like as soon as I changed it to keyboard, I got the first mob I fought. But yeah, the combat's changing, so that's an important note. So I may just go off and I may just go off and do the other tutorial. With my bag of coins that apparently aren't the most important piece of loot. My 396 coins. But apparently the heads are worth 30 silver. Wait till I try to fight a bandit. Your comment from earlier? Yeah. I really just want to get my third parry done. See, and I think this might be a spot where people, again, like I said, because now I've been here for another 15 minutes trying to move on in the tutorial. I could see people saying, fuck this, let me refund. It would be interesting if the developers could see what the last thing an account did before it refunded. I could see a lot of people getting frustrated here and saying, I'm done. Bandages need to be introduced by this point. Yeah, I could definitely see that, because what you're looking at now is you're looking at a person who's looking at their time. They're looking at their time till refund and how much time they're spending, right? They're planning on redoing the whole tutorial experience and making it free to play afterwards. That's good. Well, it's not good. I don't think going free to play is going to solve any problems. Because free to play games have to have some, and I've done numerous videos. I've written numerous CPI papers on this, marketing papers. Free to play games, people look at, and I want to acknowledge League of Legends. Oh, free to play for the tutorial. Okay, then there you go. That's smart. That's smart. I could definitely see that. Yeah, that's a free to play tutorial is absolutely, and I have videos on my YouTube where I've talked about, where I've said free to play tutorials is absolutely what gets people to play games, because they get to go in and they get to see if they like it. In fact, what I said once is you need to have a tutorial that lets people see the basics and then gives them a glimpse of the future into what they're what they're can look forward to. Oh, I got the block, but I missed the counterattack. There we go. It is directional parry. Yes, I am aware. It was easier for me once I bound it to the keyboard and instead of the mouse. But is this not the campfire you want me? Oh, open the vendor window.
See what I have for you. Welcome back anytime.
So since up block is Q instead of W. Oh, up block is Q instead of W since you don't move with Q. That's what my problem was. That's what I've been trying to up block with W. So that now that you've shared, that explains a lot, because I've been trying to step into the block.
Deal. Welcome back anytime.
You have to bind something for up and down direction. Yeah, I think that the developer was here a minute ago. They said they're revamping the tutorial. I think that then hopefully they'll nail that piece where they say if you're gonna do keyboard, go in and set that, because there is nothing more important than the tutorial to a new player acquisition. Basic combat. Help keep those shambling undead under control is a good way to make some silver, but learning how to hunt animals can be a lot more worthwhile and a good way to get some material. Let's start by finding the easiest prey on Haven, pigs. Well, you hold your horses there, buddy. We're gonna go in now that we know that heads are more valuable than gold. We're gonna kill ourselves a couple of zombies now that we're not worrying about parrying, and we want to get a couple of pieces of armor. And yes, I know somebody's going to be like, no, don't get the armor, because when you leave Haven, you lose all your tutorial stuff. And I'm going to be like, yeah, I kind of know that after playing a lot of games like this, but a new player wouldn't.
Whoa.
That has no value. I'm not eating that. So. But no, I think, I truly do believe that's where the majority of games that have had promise have failed. I think a lot of game companies over the years have spent, I did figure out that I could butcher it. I didn't know that I could make anything with it, but again, I'm playing as a completely new player. I think where companies need to realize the tutorial can't be 1% of the we're getting close, let's make the tutorial. I truly do believe the tutorial needs to be thought about at the very beginning. Like, some companies want to bring on an economist to their team in order to help design the economy, which I think is a great idea. But where I think a lot of companies fail is they need to bring on somebody with a background in education for the presentation of the new player experience. Because obviously, if 100,000 people try your game this week and you retain 0%, something's wrong. If 100,000 people try your game and 50,000 stay, that's probably pretty good, but you got to figure out why the other 50,000 didn't stay. I'll tell you right now, if it wasn't for the audience, which again, as a streamer, I have 32 people I can ask for help, I probably would have uninstalled and refunded, because I would have said, I'm just not getting the pairing. And it looks like the developer is aware of that, because when he was here said, yeah, I'm aware. We're revamping this, which is good. Because so far, I think this has got a lot of potential. If you weren't streaming, you were totally stuck, what would be my plan of action to get help? Number one, I would go to I would look up YouTube videos. Number two, I would reach out to the 2 or 3 people that I know that play this game. And then after that, like I said earlier, I would be looking at because I don't know about you guys, but when I start a new game on Steam, I start a timer, a 2-hour, well, about a 1 hour and 50-minute timer backwards. If I'm not enjoying the game by the time S'more the timer dog goes beep, 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 I refund the game. Especially when the games are 50 or 60 or 70 dollars, right? This won't mess up your gameplay. Did you notice the help chat? I did see the help chat in the bottom left-hand corner. But you know what a problem is? And I'll say this quite often. Number one, my brain automatically assumes that I can't chat until a certain amount of time has gone past. Number two, let me get out of the graveyard so something doesn't bite my butt. Number two, I've seen help, but what I haven't seen is, right? I haven't seen a way to type into help. See what I'm saying? Like, I'm down here and, oh, that's your point? So that's something else that they need to look into. There needs to be a tab, local combat skill game. There needs to be a help tab, right? There needs to be a help tab. Oh, okay. /help would get it done. So, you know, if the person has played a game before, they would know it's enter /help. One game that has, again, I like to look at the games that are doing it the best that they can. Final Fantasy 14 with the Novice Network. I think sets the standard for how help should be done. If your character was physically stuck in the game and you needed a GM to help, would you know how to do that? Yeah, that one I found I'm stuck. Or contact GM. That's actually really good. That's actually, that being in the game menu, I'm stuck being in the game menu is really good. And I love the fact that report bug is in the game menu. I hate when reporting a bug is buried like in, I'm just going to press it. Yeah, I'm stuck. Game mechanics, harassment, report abuse or other. That's perfect. Report a bug. Contact a GM if you need help. This form is not for support. Report bug, blah, blah, blah. Report cheater. Tag. So that helps them. That probably sorts when they go in. Those are the categories they want. So that's good. GM chat interaction is atrocious. Try it. I'm not gonna try that right now because that puts a strain on a system that if it's bad and I put a strain on it, then if you guys are, as the players are saying it's bad, then it's bad and they need to address that. GM contacts you in chat, but responding to GM trips up most players. New players don't know how to message back. Then that's something they need to, that's something that they need to address. They need to put that up and say, we have a way for new players to contact GMs, but players don't know how to respond. So our entire system doesn't work. So what do we need to do? Like in Final Fantasy XI, the first version of GM help was the first message the GM sent was, hi, I'm GM so-and-so. To respond to me, you must do this. Please respond. Okay, so they said a few weeks ago they're revamping the GM ticket system to add a separate chat window soon. Well, that's good. That's, you know. That's a good thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Please come again.
Yeah, but I mean, in the short term, the way you could fix that in the short term would be, I am GM whoever, the way you respond to me is this. And then that fixes the problem. Find the pigs. Where are you at, pigs? And I think this falls back to some of the CPI work that I've done. I really wanted to do my education with industry with Disney, but one of the things is Disney and Universal Studios have some of the best, Karthos, not cool, but funny. Disney and Universal have some of the best roller coasters in the world. And they're great for the minute and a half, 2 minutes you're on the ride. But what about all the things that make it work? Your gameplay can be amazing, but if a new player doesn't stay in your game, unlike the undead, pigs are more docile and will not attack you. They will, however, flee if you hurt them, which will cause nearby pigs to flee as well. Okay. Animal carcass can weigh a lot. To reduce the weight, break down the carcass into basic materials. You need to skin it. To skin a carcass, open the inventory, then right click, and then hold skin. Hold butcher. They actually have a disconnect. How do I feel about the game tempo, the speed? Too slow or good? I think right now, the tempo is fine for me because I'm in my 40s and I started with EverQuest. I think the game tempo might be a touch slow for the new modern era of gamers, but you got to remember they have an attention span of 15 seconds because they made TikTok popular. I think the game tempo is too slow for the Zoomer generation who want the next thing right away. The skinning should have been added with the zombie carcass. Perhaps the zombie and pig order should be swapped. Yeah, I think fight the animals that don't fight back, then fight the monsters that do. I think that is not a entirely terrible thing. I think just by switching the order, you would introduce people. It would solve that previous problem of things of value, because now I have pig meat and I have leather and I have bone tissue, and now I'm seeing the value of these things, right? I think that inherently solves your loot value disconnect that people have coming in from other games. I also would say this, and I know not everybody would agree, but I think making people giving people a starter axe in order to complete that crafting tutorial that's not soulbound, that goes away, would probably have been helpful. But so far, I'm not unsatisfied with the start of my journey. I'm not unsatisfied. Now, I will say the range of my weapon is a little short to me, but I already know I saw a spear for sale, so I'm not worried about that, because I know that there's going to be a longer range weapon. Adjust the field of view. Settings. No, it's going to be under UI, right? No. Video? Oh, yeah. That's better. Thank you. What do we got? 25, 30. We'll kill one more pig. It's a lot of pig carcass. I think the other thing that's confused me is it says a skinning knife, but I don't have a skinning knife. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think people are accustomed to making a tool. You can also take the maintain vertical field of view box as it looks like you're using an ultra wide. So what you're seeing on the screen is because of how I have to stream it. My monitor, I have on my lower monitor, what I'm gaming on, it looks fine. But what you guys are seeing is because I don't stream at the resolution that my monitor's at. Normally what I do is I do this I put these 2 black bars and then I fill up the rest of the screen with like a mirrored blur, but this was using a lot of resources for some reason, so I took off the mirrored blur. But no, my bottom screen looks fine to me. It fills up the whole monitor.
See what I have for you. Thank you.
Okay. That's cool. I was confused earlier because I bought gloves. I've not seen this in a game before. I have not seen a game break the right arm and the left arm into separate slots. I've not seen a game do that before. And then I'm gonna buy.
Thank you.
No.
Please come again.
So we don't have shoes. We have legs and feet. We have the tin can bottoms. Okay, I can get down with that. If I try to gather wood, will it use my spear? I would imagine it would. Find the ranger camp. Can you wear a giant boot on one foot and a slipper on the other? Dude, man, keep your kinks out of chat. We've talked about this. That's only the Saturday show. So you have a designated boot up to ass foot. Don't make me laugh. My lungs haven't recovered enough to laugh. Yeah, I've been taking that cough syrup with codeine since Monday. That was the only way I got any rest. If I had popped on Monday, you guys would have just all told me to log off and go to bed. All right, Ranger Camp. The Ranger will only accept skinned animal materials, but will sell you a spare bow and some arrows. Buy yourself a bow and some arrows. Your next quarry will be far more elusive than a pig. Okay, but now I don't have any carcasses because I just sold them to get my other... First world problems, right? First world problems. Here, piggy, piggy, piggy. Oh, get up. That's a lot of pig carcass. Okay, so that's another one. that needs to be more easily identifiable. What's split stack? So settings, gameplay. Oh no, keybinds. Yeah, I had noticed attack style, mouse click then drag, movement keys. I want to try that. And then I saw what you're talking about. Thrust as default attack. I obviously these could probably use some pop-up explainers. Direction modify charges attack. You know. But the one I want to look for is keybinds and split stack. It doesn't look like oh, thrust attack is left alt. There you go. Overhead attack is V. Yeah, how do you split stacks? They will tell you how. Oh, there you go. It is there. Control, shift plus right click. There you go. So it is there. So that's good. A+. Yeah, it's on the mouse over. I just didn't give it enough time. So yeah, A+ there. It is small, yes. The vendor expects you to purchase something. Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to say something here, and it's really, really petty. It's really, really, really petty. But this shouldn't be called a vendor. This should be called a trader. Because a vendor buys or sells. Be careful here before you accept. Okay. Obviously, I'm going to get my bow and my 20 arrows. No. Because these are 1 for 1. So 20 arrows. This, I would say, should be renamed as a trader because it won't let you just sell. But that's probably a petty point. Yeah, because the vendor expects you to buy something. But could I just buy one? Yeah, okay, that's fine. It's not like oh shit, I can't think of the game that it has to be like an equivalent exchange. Equip the bow and arrow. Before you go hunting, you need to learn the basics of archery with your new bow. The ranger has set up a small training field nearby to practice on. Go to the training field by following the marker on your compass. Oh, if you were to buy just the one arrow, you would have had to kill more pigs to buy more since you can't use just silver there. It should be okay. So I can't buy from her straight either. Then yeah, probably call that a trader. Take out your bow by pressing X, hold down left click. The longer you hold, the further the arrow will travel and the stronger your shot will be. Release the button when the circle is full and the reticle is over your target. Arrows always fall down as they lose momentum, so if your target is very far away, try aiming a bit higher. Drawing a bow will consume stamina. If your stamina reaches 0, you will stop drawing the bow and have to wait for it to replenish. Okay. That's at least better than other games I've seen that when you run out of stamina, you automatically let go of the shot. Okay, so where's the button to hold your breath? There's no button to hold your breath? How the hell do they expect you to make the further shot? That's gross. Oh, you will wobble less over time? Too high. Too low. It's easy enough to hit a stationary target like a training dummy, but unfortunately most animals can and will run very fast. Your next hunt will be for one such animal. Most forests are home to many springboks. They are skittish herd animals and will instantly run away if they see you, often taking the whole herd with you. Find the herd nearby. No. We're gonna go sell. We're gonna buy more arrows. Because I'm not having to come back out here. Hi! Yeah. Oh, it's 1 copper each. Okay. So. Oh, I started eating units of leather. That's tasty. Right? That's absolutely tasty. Here we go. All right. How many do we have? 15 arrows? No, we're gonna kill a pig. No, that's not. We're getting more. Come here, pigs. Come here, pigs. I'm not going all the way out there with 15 arrows. That's just not going to happen. I need more. I'm not killing the piglet. I'm not doing that. Not killing a piglet today. I don't get out of here. Open social. Open skills. Open pet menu. I can have a pet. Open spellbook. You need a spellbook first. Yeah, Wolfagar. It's weird that they have a trade will cost you as an option. The trader doesn't take money. That's why I said earlier, as new player feedback, this should not be called a vendor. This should be called a trader, because you have to give them value. You have to give them something of value. They'll give you something of value and change, but you can't give them silver. So they should be a trader, not a vendor, because I'm sure there are regular vendors that'll just give you, that just deal with, or maybe trader and merchant, because I'm sure there's other ones that don't care and they'll buy and sell with the usual, I'll buy that from you for 10 silver, but I'll sell it back to you for 100 gold. There they are, the Springboks. This herd is particularly young and you should be able to take down one of them, but it'll involve sneaking and tracking. As you move closer to the herd, but don't move too close or they might spot you. Aim at the Springbok closest to you and hold down left click until your bow is fully drawn. Once the animal is dead, loot the carcass and bring it back to the ranger camp. I miss you walking right towards me. That's so sad. This time we'll bring the carcass back to the ranger's camp and butcher it properly at their butcher table. Using a butcher table instead of a skinning in the wild will yield more resources, but require you to haul the carcass to a table. That's a good evolution of a tutorial, because I saw the butcher table earlier, and I didn't say it out loud, but I saw the butcher table and I said, well, why the hell are there butcher tables if I can just skin? But this is a good evolution. To butcher an animal, simply hold R to open the butcher table, then right-click the Springbok carcass to place it on the table. Once that's done, hold left-click. No, I agree with you, Wolf. They shouldn't give you any change back, but you got to kind of gamify that for a video game. People don't want to spend forever, you know, working it out to, I'm going to kill this many to get this many things. Dude, there's got to be a little gamification. The useful parts of the animal you have butchered are now in your backpack. As you would expect, a large part of the animal is meat. To cook the meat, hold R to open the cooking station, then right-click the meat in your inventory to add it as an ingredient. To start cooking, hold left-click Okay. So this is more of the crafting menu. Wait, hold on. Before I do that. Okay, it's the same. It's like, does the one with the pot give better results? Eating food will replenish your health, stamina, and mana reserves. These reserves deplete alongside their associated stat. For example, when you lose health from taking damage, an amount of equal to the health you lost will be taken from your health reserve. If your reserves get too low, your maximum health, stamina, or mana will be limited by a gray bar until you refill your reserves by either resting or eating food. Awesome survival mechanic thing to gray cap you out. I love it. It works really well in Fractured as well. I think it's an important survival mechanic. Control right click your dish to eat it. Control right click. Control. Congratulations, you have successfully completed this tutorial. We strongly recommend new players finish all tutorials, level their skills, acquire wealth, and gain a basic understanding of the game prior to leaving Haven. Upon leaving Haven, you can bring 6 items and everything you have equipped to Mirrorland. Oh, so it does make sense to get a full set of armor because you can take that with you. Don't be afraid to spend plenty of time here until you're ready to take on the vast, dangerous content of Mirrorland. Once you leave Haven and arrive on Mirrorland, you will not be able to return. While on Mirrorland and outside the safety of guarded towns, players will be able to attack you and take your possessions. Okay, so what I want to do right now. Okay, audience, I have a question. I know that this is my... I was told, I don't know. I was told that this blade is bound to me. But how do I know that? I don't know as a player. I was told by a viewer. And apparently there's action skills. It doesn't say. So I just have to remember that my steel short sword blade with a heavy hilt is my bound one. I just have to, I'm just obligated to remember that. Okay. Fair enough. Look at the durability. That's how most remember. So that durability is 250. And the durability of that is 80. Okay. That makes sense. So what I'm going to do, I'm not killing a piglet. I'm not. I am not that horrible of a human being. Although I nearly killed one of my cats because they put their claw through my Joker painting. Really bothered me. We adopted a couple of more cats. And one broke my shit. I am going to pick up another weapon. Just so I can do these trees. Hitting, parrying, anything uses it. That makes sense. See, and that's something that I was actually shocked by a lot of gamers. That gamers were against the permanent destruction of items. It really bothered me because it was like they don't understand that you've got to have the destruction of items in order to have a healthy economy. You have to. Because if you don't, then everything lasts forever. I'm guessing, based on what was said earlier, is it's soulbound, so when I die, I still have that sword. I imagine when I die, I lose all my other items. Because in an open world game, that's kind of how it works. Which, truthfully, is another reason why Mortal Online 2 may not be very popular. Because, people don't like the window of opportunity to release a game with permaloss is over. Because like I said earlier, what the fuck? The average player does not want negative growth. Why in the blue fucking donkey balls is there a carcass out here? What? You can hit all of them for speed. Oh. Because that was just weird. Watermelons and carcasses. I will say what I've noticed, the little things, because I'm a details guy. The idle behavior of like those, that was great. Before it noticed me, it was doing idle animations. I know a lot of games are starting to move to that. We've moved away from WoW, where it's like the horse goes step, 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 and then turns around and goes step, step, step. It's a little thing that creates a world. So yeah, I thought their idle animations were really good. Oh, when you walk past in the main world, okay. More pigs. Hi, pigs. I kind of know where I am now. Because there's going to be an axe on this pile of wood, right? Yes, see, there's the magical axe. They're going to add a second. I did notice that, and I did want to say something about that. I think that 2 is the right number. I did notice that when I made my character, you are only allowed to have 1 character slot. I think 1 is not enough. I think 3 is too many. I think 2 is the right number. Because sometimes you have a character that... Sometimes you have a friend you want to play with, but the match isn't there. The link up isn't there. Like, for example, when there's a game I really enjoy, I play the shit out of it, and then I play with my wife. Well, my wife always got mad at me because I'd be so far ahead of her. Well, in Final Fantasy XIV, it was really nice because I could scale back down to a character that was her level. And what I was going to say earlier, everybody is looking for mini games in Gathering. I don't think we need mini games in Gathering. I think that if the time spent gathering and the amount gathered grows with your skill, then that's all the mini game you need. As far as combat goes, the reason for second character slot will be nice. This game is very role oriented in PvP. I kind of figured that out based on what people were saying to me. So can I not gather wood with my axe? Oh, I am. I just was on the wrong tab. Okay. Now I'm gonna say here, there's some skills that I'm developing that they need to I think right here, and you guys might not be able to see it, but combat technique increased to 62, material lore increased to 66, gathering increased to 27, wood cutting increased to 27. I think a failure here on the part of the developer is I don't know as a player what any of that shit means. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna see if I can find out your knowledge about combat techniques. See, later, Wolfagar. I made that point earlier. That screen you're looking now is the most important. Yeah, I understand that axe is a weapon. I had hit this tab down here, which doesn't show your skills and wasn't showing me gaining anything because I was gathering with a sword earlier. I've figured out that you can gather with a weapon. I didn't do a trade, so I don't know why that's complete. But right here, right? Hold on, don't shed any light yet. Don't shed any light yet. Okay. So I've seen as I've been leveling that I get my combat technique increased to 62. Your knowledge about combat techniques is a second. Primary skills cost skill points. If you don't have enough skill points, they cannot level up. Secondary skills do not cost skill points. So combat techniques is a secondary. Have you looked at builds you're going to go for? No, I'm doing a playthrough just completely as a new player, mainly to give feedback to the developer for confusion. Like this piece right here. It's great that I'm developing combat techniques, but I have no idea why 62 matters. Now, down here, I get it. Defensive stats and aggressive stats. So obviously I want to level. You've not learned the skill. Obviously I want to level these because they give me stats. But now I'll take the insight. If you have light to shed here. Now I would take that. So there's a parent skill. Okay. Combat technique is the parent to defense and aggression. Okay. See that number on the bottom left? This 835 out of 100. Or 835 out of 1100. That's how many primary skill points you have. So I have 835 primary skill points. Yeah, I saw that. Secondary skills do not cost any. Okay. However, that combat technique has to be higher than defensive and aggression for those two skills to level. Okay, that I understand. That's old school. That's old school like EverQuest or Final Fantasy. You can't be higher in a sub. So my aggressive stance can go all the way to 62. It could never go to 63. See, auto fix overflowed. Yep. You have some skills over 100. Skills are considered overflow when the skills level plus attribute or clade bonus take it above level 100. And it's taking points from your points. Okay, well, hold on a second. So breathing technique 100, sprinting 100. So sprinting is skill trained to 100. Sprinting is overflowed. But it doesn't tell me how much it's overflowed. Just tells me it's overflowed. But the point, so you can auto fix it. Okay, so let's see. 835 out of 1100. Okay. Got it. And then locked. This skill will not gain XP and cannot level up. Yeah, now it won't do it again. So if, oh, okay. Because you don't have a point. Yeah. So obviously you wouldn't have enough points for everything. So let me. So, for example, because I've played games like this, as I had enough early on, I didn't have bandages, so I spent a lot of time resting. But once I had consumables, I wouldn't want to waste 13 points in active regeneration because I'll just burn consumables. So I would remove the levels later on. I would take the levels out of active regeneration. It would also mean as I specialize my character, or put it to minus, as I specialize my character, things that I don't want, I would get rid of. That is absolutely something. I saw what you said earlier, that I've gone through the tutorial and they haven't shown me the action skills. That is 100% something that they need to do. Because in this, I would say, and I'm not trying to hurt the developers' feelings, but I would give them a solid F in the depth of their tutorial, because yeah, this is a huge part of the game and they didn't touch on it on the combat side. They absolutely, in their revamp of their tutorial, they need to drive you to the action skills. I would say so much so they need to drive you to the tutorial of the action skills in the character creator. You can also remove the skill levels menu by clicking the button to the left of the plus minus. Yeah. I think that right there is something they need to talk about in the character creator. Because now what I saw somebody else said, you weren't the track. I wasn't ignoring you, but several people have told me I'm going to end up re-rolling, and absolutely, I acknowledge that. But what I'm doing is I'm playing through as a new player, saying, where are the flaws of Mortal Online 2 and why aren't more people sticking with it? And I would say this right here is the player acquisition, player retention crossover point where people don't realize how much the game has to offer, and they don't know why. Because now that I know that there's going to be a second character slot, I would literally make a gatherer and a combat character, a gatherer crafter and a combat character, and I would do no gathering or crafting on my combat main, because that is the cornerstone of min-maxing. Or what I would then say to them is divide out this 1100 points into action combat skills, action crafting, gathering skills, or action skills. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me back up. Why is this a different number? Do I have a different pool for my profession skills? Okay, so then they've already gotten to the perfect spot then. My profession skills and my action skills are separate categories, and then that's exactly how it should be. Perfect. Praying that Jesus brings you back to covering ashes. I will cover ashes in Alpha 2 when they stop making radical design decisions. And then I can actually do what I do best. But right now they keep making all these radical design decisions, and then when I say you're making design decision changes, the community is like, they've always said, and I'm like, nah, bitch, here's the fucking quote from the man himself where he said this. It's okay if he wants to change it, but don't tell me he never said X. Somebody said, this in the community can be testy to say the least. I would argue, from what I've heard of the Mortal Online community, they're a really passionate group that doesn't understand that there's got to be a difference between passionate and zealot, because your game only has like less than 1,000 players playing right now. As of this very moment, there are 896 people playing the game. No, I'm sorry. As of this moment, there's 904 playing the game. You can't be so testy that you drive off the players, because the developer needs money. Now, if the 904 players are all paying $10,000 a month, they can be as testy as they want. You know what I'm saying? You need a large community for the developer to have the money they need. If you're being testy and you're driving away people with ideas or feedback, you're killing the game you love. Do you know anything about my Clade level? I know nothing. Honestly, I know this is the first time I'm seeing the game. Other than the little bit in the character creator that I started taking my notes before I fell ill, I know nothing. But hold on, I did see that I have this. I did see that I have Clade gifts. And now I'm starting to understand that there's like now I can't bring up both at the same time, can I? Oh, I can. So what I'm going to say is, now that I understand that this is bumped because of Constitution, this is bumped because of Strength, this is bumped because of Constitution and Strength, this is bumped because of Constitution and Strength, then this, like, stocky becomes valuable because every single thing, every single skill that benefits from Constitution saves me 3 skill points. So now that I know that, going back to the character creator, I would say where I threw my points, if you were here at the beginning of the show, yes, but not because of the action skills, because of your actual build. Right. But what I'm saying is, maybe I take stocky because 3 Constitution, and I don't know yet. I don't know what I don't know. But what I'm discovering as a player is maybe stocky is the Clade gift I want to learn, because it gives me 3 Constitution. And then that 3 Constitution allows me to re-level my skills and gives me the skill points I need. That is so much more of an opening of like how much there is to the game, that I think the selling point that they're missing is Star Vault has an amazingly beautiful, thought out system. Now, I don't know if it's good. I'm not saying it's good. I haven't played enough to know if it's a good system, but it's a beautifully thought out system that I don't know anything about. The stat points are easy to change or retrain. Right. People keep saying that, but remember from my perspective, I don't know that as a player. I'm assuming most games like this, I can't change my stats, right? Because I'm playing a sandbox game with no classes or levels. So in the back of my head, my decisions at character creation were permanent, right? So now that I know that, I'm 2 hours and 22 minutes into my play, and if I've stumbled into this window and this Clade Gifts, now I'm starting to think to myself, I fucked up my original character. I fucked up my character creation. So now it's saying to me, all this stuff, all of this that I'm scrolling through is stuff I didn't know I could do when I made my character. And some people are going to say, and I just found out the Mortal Online 2 problem, that you made 8 characters your first 48 hours of playing. And that right there is where you lose players. It's the same thing I would say about Path of Exile. Path of Exile, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I have been a Diablo fan for 20 years. And Path of Exile is making a better Diablo than Diablo is making a Diablo. Right? This is their selling point right here. What's on the screen right now should be Star Vault's selling point of our game. And I didn't know any of this when I got in here. I remember some of this was on the right-hand side of the screen on the bottom, but I had no idea what the fuck it was. I'm making a character. I have no idea what this stuff is. They need to sell their strengths. And I think if they did that, they could start nudging that 900 players to 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000. Now, again, I don't know what the community's behavior is like. I don't know what their behavior is like. And maybe I get to the real world and I get insta-popped when I leave the safety of the first city. And then that's a nice game I'll never play again moment. If you want a classless system, you can't put hard locks on stat at character creation. That is a very, you are absolutely right, absolutely wrong, and every level in between. I agree with you, and I disagree with you. I don't know enough about this game to argue with you. But what I will say is EVE Online, there used to be a race, a bloodline, and a training. And like 75% of the game was Keldari, this bloodline, and this training because it gave you more points than anything else. So why would you? Because you can't, if you're going to make skill points matter, you can't have one be more valuable. But now, age and size, I knew nothing about. People were trying to warn me, and I said, no, let me dive into it. I knew nothing about changing age and size. You can reroll your clade points, but not the actual race. Right. And somebody was telling me earlier that you can change your age size clades in game, but that'll cost you. Right, but somebody was saying that there's only that everybody plays the same 7 or 8 variations. The dev wants everything to be community driven. Your confusion in the tutorial is almost intended because he has expressed numerous times about expecting to bridge the skill gap on their own. And right, let me just give a differing opinion. That's a great opinion to have, but not in a product you want people to buy. It's great that you want people to bridge the skill gap on their own. but not in an open, like not in an open world sandbox game with perma loss of resources and full PvP and full loot. You gotta decide, you gotta decide which features you want. For example, I really like sushi and I really like pizza, but I never put sushi on my pizza. I really want players to be able to bridge their own skill gap. I really want that. I think that's a good thing. But then you can't have a full loot, full PvP game. You can't, you see what I'm saying? If you want people to buy it. If you want people to buy it. Now, if you're not interested in making any money, making any sales, do whatever you want. Find the vendor. Hi, vendor. The wood you have gathered can be traded to vendors for other items. To trade with the vendor, hold R while targeting them. We've covered this. And we talked about how these should be renamed traders. Because they're not vendors, they're traders.
See what I have for you.
Crafting short blade heads. This trade will cost me,
Welcome back anytime.
I'm welcome back. Oh, that's fine. We'll do this. So yeah, he should be called a trader because he doesn't actually, he's not a vendor. Because he requires an item for me to trade.
Thank you.
To start reading your new book, simply press tab to open your inventory, then right-click the book to start reading it. You can see what you are reading in the character window. Not only will you learn a new crafting skill, you'll also passively gain experience in that skill while reading the book. Reading takes a very long time, but your character will passively read even when you are offline. You will also become better at reading, decreasing the time it takes to read books. First of all, I want to say using the offline learning, brilliant. Oh, I've already learned the skill. I can use silver on him? I just want to see.
Let me show you.
Oh, okay. I don't know why
Nice talking to
I thought the other one. I was reading the text. Now, one thing I think they made a mistake there. You'll see, I learned, they talk about how I'm gonna, I think the biggest problem they have is a mismatch between their tutorial and what's happening. They said, I'm gonna read this book and it's gonna take time, but I read the book and you learn a new skill. Well, there should have been a 60-second timer, 30-second timer, like, the next page of that tutorial should have been like, here's where it is. Character doll shows the book. Oh. Okay. You learn the skill, but the skill level is still low. Okay. Then the hours are bugged. Okay. Something... Yeah, books are like trained like an EVE Online. Something needed to drive me back to my character sheet for me to see that. The game won't explain everything to you, just play and see. Right, I'm giving feedback as a new player because obviously Mortal Online 2 has a player acquisition and player retention problem. Because they can't seem to get over 1,000 concurrent players. And that's one of the problems. The tutorial is like, here's a book, but then this is what I'm looking at my screen, right? Wooden blades are useful for training. Behind every ingot of metal is a skilled miner. Okay, good. We're going to do some more stuff. I'm going to go to the mine, hit R. So like when I closed out that last one, when I hit R here, then it gives me an icon and I know what I'm doing. But when I close that last one, it says you're going to start learning a book. But if nobody had been here to tell me it's on the character sheet, I wouldn't have known that. And when you say just play and see, The problem is people don't want to play in C. People need you need to bait the trap. Games don't need to be easy. They need to be easy to play. And like I said, I'm now past my refund. You read it and said the book is on your character sheet, but it was so brief that I don't think it registered. And maybe it did. Maybe when I go back and relook, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe I read it and it didn't go in. It didn't go in through the skull case. But if you want people to play a game, they have to. Sometimes you got to lead them. I'm not saying make the game watered down, but teach people how to play the game. Like so far, figured out some stuff on my own. You know, people have been waiting for me to figure out some stuff on my own. I think it's a good game. I think it's solid. I really enjoy this. Is like amazing to me. Honestly, I want more games like this. All right, I think it would have been better to tell you that than actually have it automatically open your character sheet for you. Yes, 100%. This is boom. It's going to be on your character sheet. Boom. And then there it is. Because then when you bring me to my character sheet, I'm going to see something new. And I'm going to be like, oh, something new. They should have added no low high security like in Eve and Avalon. I'm going to be honest. Earl of Demise doesn't seem to like it. But what I'm going to say is this. Eve Online didn't add enough Concord security and low sec fast enough to save their game. Now people will say, Jay, what are you talking about? Eve is 22 years old. Eve is 22 years old with a player base of 27,000 concurrent players times 3 regions. So they have about 60 to 70,000 players a month. The problem is if you want to grow your game, the developers have to have income. I don't know how long Star Vault can go along with, well, let me back up a second. Based on what several people have said today, there's a lot of you with multiple accounts and multiple subscriptions. That creates a very nasty community, as what was mentioned earlier. Yeah, you just like, again, I'm reserving my judgment, but if I get out there in the world and I get, if I get mollywopped right when I go out into the world, why would I buy a subscription? And that's the same problem Eve players had and Arcage players had. Arcage players, they turned around and they said, we're going to murder everybody in the first PvP zone because I got murdered in the first PvP zone and that's what should happen. And now Arcage is down to 1 server. Well, okay. Because they went by to play for a long time and forced people to just have 1 character slot. Right. Arcage got killed by the Daily Harem crap. Arcage was, yeah, there's a lot of things that went wrong with Arcage, but the biggest one was the population. That's why they say here, learn the way they learned. Unfortunately. Let's say you started a new guild. If you were to grow over 10 to 20 active players, you most likely meet spies. Big guilds would create accounts to send ignorant new players your way. Yeah, it's eerie how it happens. You can try to protect those players all you want, but they will still quit. They're not meant for those types of games. They cannot handle losses. Except they're the people who keep EVE Online open. I mean, I'm just going to tell you this. Care Bears keep the lights on. And if you have any other opinion, you can have the opinion. Care Bears keep the lights on. It is not the people fighting in EVE Online. It is not the people fighting out in nullsec that are keeping the lights on. It's all the people who play in 0.5 to 0 into 1.0 space. Look at the player density. Look at where they're at. And you can load a map of EVE and see where the players are. It's just that simple. I mean, and I guess the argument then becomes, well, how long can Star Vault move along with 902 concurrent players? It's just the fact that Mortal Online 2 doesn't offer enough to the casual gamer with 1 to 2 hours to play, since the world is entirely too large to do anything in a normal play session. Yes, exactly. Exactly. The demographic of gamers has changed. When we were all in our teens and our early 20s, and we were all sweaties, and we played 6 to 8 hours a game, or 6 to 8 hours a day, we were cool with taking an hour and a half to ride a boat, go over the hills, through the woods, to grandma's house, get a sandwich, and then go kill a dragon. And now, the modern gamers, and there's nothing wrong with this, but look at the games they play. They play shooters and MOBAs and battle royales because they get a new match every 15, sometimes every 12 to 30 minutes. Like Fortnite, I know a lot of people hate Fortnite, and I think Fortnite did some really, really good things for the gaming atmosphere. I think it did some really terrible things. One of the things about Fortnite is how many people, like, honestly, get drunk on a Friday or a Saturday or a Tuesday, if that's your thing, and they never make it past the top 75 in Fortnite, because as soon as they die a minute into the match, they get another match. You remember when we used to have to spend that mandatory 2 minutes watching the person who killed us, and we didn't have a choice? If we alt F4'd, we didn't get credit for the match. We had to watch the guy as that counter in the corner would time down from 2 minutes and say next match in 2 minutes. And now they get the instant action. If you don't provide something for the constant dopamine crowd, they're not going to play your game. Okay, did I not? Okay, I mined 1,200, but it's still telling me to mine 250. Appreciate the follow. Oh. Granium in its raw form is not very useful, but must be broken down with an extraction appliance to get usable materials inside. Flakestone is a cheap but serviceable material which can be obtained. Most extraction appliances will require the use of catalysts for efficient processing. To get the most flakestone out of your granum, you can use a mineral called nitri as the catalyst. Okay. Full loot doesn't really tie into fast cycles of dopamine rewards due to the loss of gear, even if the gear itself is mostly dirt cheap. Right. And that's another thing that has been lost. People talk about RuneScape and forgive me, it's been a long time. Everybody's like, oh, well, you have your mid-level gear that you have multiple sets of mid-level gear. Who the hell wants to live off multiple sets of mid-level gear? Back in the day, that's what we did. But who wants to live off that now? What people want now is they want everybody needs a Thunder Fury because everybody needs a legendary item. Find the extraction. Okay. Just because I've already learned my lesson, I'm gonna get a few more. Did I ever jump into Mortal Online? No. Mortal Online 1. No, I did not. Mortal Online 1 was not something on my radar back in the time. Ultima Online is actually the closest to Mortal Online 2's design from all the MMOs, and mid-level disposable gear is the only way to make full loot really work. Correct. And Fractured, if you guys haven't seen Fractured by Dynamite Studios, they started off full loot, and what they found out very quickly was full loot wasn't going to give them the player base they wanted. Now they have a bunch of other failures and reasons why their game isn't working, mainly because it's not feature. They're trying to launch without being feature complete. To process your granium in the Notorious, look at the Notorious and hold R. Add the granium pile and the nitri and hold the button. This process will take some time, and the amount of time increases with the quantity of the resources you put in. You will see the remaining time under your health bar. If you move away, the extracted materials will drop on the ground when the timer runs out. So this is something that Ashes of Creation is trying to do. This is exactly what they've been saying they're going to do. Perfect. I like it. The amount of flakestone you got from the extraction is fairly small. It is, however, enough to make a shield frame. To make a shield, you will also need to gather some wood for the core and cotton for the coating. Gather enough dapple wood and cotton to make a shield, then follow the marker on your compass to the shield crafting table. Okay. Right. Full loot is great, and some gamers still like it. Now here, listen to what I'm saying. Because when I talk about full loot and I say full loot's bad, people just get mad because I'm insulting what they like. Full loot is great. Full loot is great for a studio like Riot Games that can divert money from League of Legends to a full loot game. Full loot game is great for a studio like Epic Games that can divert money from Fortnite to build a full loot game. But full loot game is not good in the modern era for a studio because they're never going to have enough players to forward develop. Like I said, EVE Online, I give it its respect. It's 22 years old. It's an old man. EVE Online is an old game. I played EVE Online for the better part of a decade. Why did I stop playing EVE Online? And I'll tell you, I no longer had the disposable time to replace my ships. Where are you trying to... Oh. Where are you trying to send me? Oh, okay. I thought EVE Online was great. Again, when the only thing I had to do was go to school and work. I went to college, so I had class... 18 hours a week, and then work 40 hours a week, and then I had a bunch of disposable time. I loved EVE. Jump out to nullsec at like 7 in the morning when nobody else is online. 3 jumps down a pipe where I can mine a rat for 2 hours and be left alone. That was awesome. But then as I got older and I had things like a career, full loot became a pain in the ass because there were times, and this is the dynamic. Number one, I have a full-time job. So by the time I got home from work, you know, I was military. So by the time I got off duty, went home, did PT, made dinner, sat with my wife and my kids, helped the kids with their homework, got them all set, got them all squared away. I'd have maybe 90 minutes. Well, then, you know, Pandemic Legion is who I flew with in nullsec, and then I bounced around a lot after that. The problem became, this isn't fun. This isn't fun because I only have 90 minutes. I can't join the fleet in progress. Right? I have to go mine a rat to make money to afford my ship replacement. And I get where people, and I get it. someone I saw, it's nothing compared to the full loot adrenaline kick. Absolutely. Nothing compared to the full loot adrenaline kick. For us older gamers in our mid to late 30s, 40s, and early 50s. That's not what the current generation wants. Right? And you know that because they jump game to game. The modern gamers that I talk to, they play one game for like 2 hours, and then the whole group of them switches to another game, sometimes in the same genre, sometimes in a different genre. Like, I know a group of people that play League of Legends for 2 hours, and then they play, I'm going to get it wrong because shooters aren't my thing, but they're like, let's go play Modern Warfare. And I listen to them. I'm friends with them. I don't play with them because I played League of Legends once, and I was told to put my hands into a blender. So I play Heroes of the Storm. I play the Daycare MOBA. I don't think there's anything wrong with full loot, but I don't think there's a big enough population to get Star Vault to where they need to be. Plus the fact that you've got Albion Online is already out and established. People still play EverQuest. People still play Rust. People still play DayZ, whichever one of them is still the people play one. I think it's Rust. And there's 3 or 4 or 5 more full loot drop or partial loot drop sandboxes coming out. Do I think the game would get more players if it didn't have full loot? Absolutely. I think a game that is full loot, I think you lose a cut of the player base, of the potential player pool. As soon as they know it's full loot, they never look at your game again. Boom. This game's full loot. I'm not even going to look at it. Some people don't have time and just want to sign up for the instant arcade action. Some Mortal Online 2 guilds work for these types of people. They log on for the daily dungeon events. Right. Right. But the players have to know that. Good thing about Mortal Online is your casual gear is easily replaceable. Right. But think of it this way. Just think of it with simple numbers. If you have 100 people that look at your game today and 50 of them see the phrase full loot and they don't even look at the game after that, you've shrunk your target audience by 50% with one word. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I don't know. I don't know enough about this game yet. But if I was running a guild in this game, I'd run it the same way I ran it in Eve. I would have people, like I used to just have ships fit, right? And it would be like, oh, you lost a Drake. Here you go. Have a Drake. Here's your ship replacement. Have a Drake. You lost a Tackler. You lost a Dictor. Here. Now, if you lost a Dreadnought or a Carrier, there might be a few questions. The game was perfect with around 2,000 players. It doesn't need a 50k pop. Removing full loot would make it the same as every other Care Bear theme park game on the market. Here, okay, Nio Bro, here's my response back to you. You think the game is perfect with 2,000 players. What does Star Vault think, and how long can they develop the game with 2,000 subs? How long will they want to continue developing the game with only 2,000 players? Right? That's the problem. It's a business. 2,000 players doesn't mean you're right. I don't know enough about the game. I mean, they've been going on for 10 years or so. Right? The thing is that 80% of people have an alt. Right, and we can do that number. We can say if I just do the quick number, and I always do this. Let me throw this up real quick. This is something that I always talk about, right? Because 904 people peak, 24-hour peak. But what I like to do is I like to say times 3, because there's 3 time zones. So that gives us about 2,700. That gives us about 27 concurrent players. Now, I'll even go so far What's a sub? How much does a sub cost? Right? Some time zones are super dead, right? And they probably are. And we're not trying to do their financials here. We're just trying to get a number. So let's say there's about 2,700 people. And I'm even going to go one better, right? I'll even go one better. So there's 904 active players right now, times 3 time zones, 2712. So there's, over the course of the time, 2,712 people, right? Now I'm going to say on average, let's just do a ridiculous average. Everybody has 5 alts. Now you're going to say 5 is a high number. You're right. Some people don't have any. Some people have 6. Some people have 12 accounts, right? But let's just put them at 13,560. And then a sub is $15, right? A sub is $15. So that's about 203,400 after Steam's cut. And I'm just going to assume that they're there. You're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a good estimated guess at about $162,000 income a month. Now, why are we as gamers viewing a game we love as business model making exercise? Because that's what I do on my show. Because I like to bring to the discussion point more than just, well, the game is fine. Let's say they're making, you don't sub through Steam. Yes, you have to pay Steam. Even if you have a sub outside, that's the business agreement. You can look that up with Steam. You can't cut Steam out of the cuts. It's in the contract. At what point do you think a bunch of guys that are sharing a cut of 162,000 are just going to say, you know what? It's not worth it anymore. Look at how many of the developers left EVE Online to go form Mainframe Industries, to go build a different game. Henrik tells us he has 40 devs working for him. He may. He very well may. Because I didn't count box price. I didn't count other income. Hey, you don't like a fucking mathematician, don't play. I'm not quite sure where you're going. Right. But yeah, and then you've got other things. You've got server costs. You've got taxes. Right? Yeah, and I think that's a generous number, if anything, an overestimate. So when people say, well, the game, if we change the full loot drop, and it's always amazing when I say, do you have to change all of the loot drop? Right? Do you have to change all of it? No. But when you look at it and you say they have 900, said 8,500 subs is break even. Right. Maybe 8,500 subs is break even. The problem is, how long do people want to work at breaking even? There's hundreds of dead MMOs that don't have full loot PvP. You're right. There's hundreds of dead MMOs that don't have full loot PvP. But that is an irrelevant point. There's a lot, like, for example, Riders of Icarus died. Riders of Icarus, if you never played it, was a great game. The problem was it had terrible shit down. It had terrible shit netcode. The desyncs were terrible. You said you've seen this game go down to 400 players concurrent and then back to 2,500. I'm not trying to be a dick to you here, but no, you haven't. And this is where sometimes a new person comes in, is going to say, no, you haven't. Because there's been 1 month that it's ever been over 2,500. In February of 2022, they had 4,800 players concurrent as their high. And then you've never seen that again. So and this is why I'm not a very popular streamer, right? Because unfortunately, I go right after things people hold near and dear. I'm not shitting on your game, right? I'm not shitting on your game. What I've said so far is, I think the game is good. Here's a whole lot of things that I think could improve it. The moment I mentioned full loot drop being a problem, people got their heckles raised and they're like, we can't change the full loot drop. I said, when did I never said change the full loot drop. Maybe have safe zones. Maybe have safer zones. What PAX Day is doing. What Fractured is doing. Maybe you got to look at it from, if you want to believe that a game with 900 concurrent players is a quote successful MMO, I would say I'll give you the checkbox for MMO, because I always say, unfortunately, 100 players or more in an area is an MMO. Not necessarily an MMORPG, but an MMO. How many people do you need it for it to be a persistent sandbox? And where I give Star Vault credit is when I looked at everything they said about their game, they don't call their game an MMO. Just so we're clear, they don't call their game an MMORPG. And anything I found, they've labeled it as a persistent sandbox world, right? Now, I don't know anything about the consequences for murderers, and that's another route you can go. But what you have to realize is, we've already seen this tested in other games. Many players don't want non-consensual PvP. If Mortal is dying, and I don't think it is, it's because of the cake and eat it too mentality. Cringing up a person's day and expecting them to come back for seconds is the definition of insanity. Hardcore or not, adults are tired of playing with children. Yes, and unfortunately, I no longer have the little app that lets me put comments on the screen. I think you have hit the nail on the head, and I said it earlier. If you want to have a good game, it starts with the community recognizing we can't shit on every new player that walks into the game, because if we shit on every new player that walks into the game, they'll just walk right back out of the game. Sometimes it's about, if they have to tear out the soul of the game to keep it alive, it won't be worth playing. But why do you two automatically jump to tearing out the soul of the game? See, why is it, and you guys are no exception. I get this in every community I go to of games that don't have strong bases. And I was already warned that the player base is testy. I say you have a problem. And here, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Part of their problem is this. I don't want that. I want this. Part of their problem is this. This is what their Steam page says, right? You go to their Steam page. And a persistent sandbox world, great. No classes or levels, even better. Train the skills you want for your own unique build. I already talked about it in the show. I said, I think they need to sell that point, because I'm impressed. I'm actually like, oh my God, this is great. Player-driven trade, economy and housing, awesome. Millions of crafting combinations. I would believe that. Based on what I've seen so far, I would believe that. First-person immersive combat. And the developer was here earlier and said they're revamping the combat. That's cool. Exploration, I've already had a little bit of that. Bosses, I don't know yet, haven't gotten there. Full loot, full PvP. That right there is where you lose 50% or more of the interested player base. That's where 100 people put eyes on the Steam page and they lost 50 before they even had a chance to sell them. Full loot, full PvP. But the moment I say that, people get the hairs on the back that, oh, he's trying to tear out the soul of the game. All I've said is it's a problem for the demographic. Take what the developer says with a hefty grain of salt. I will neither thank you for that, but I don't judge developers on anything based on my interactions with them. That has burned me in the past, and it will burn me in the future, but it is what it is. I personally do not want to play with people who are against full loot PvP everywhere. And that's fine. You can be against that. But the problem is this. 2 times during my first 2 hours, I reached points where I understand why players buy. Is this a buy to play game? I got an evaluation. Oops, that's not what I wanted. So I do apologize. I've been fairly ill. Normally I have my research done better. Yeah, it's a buy to play game. It's a buy to play game. I got an evaluation copy through a third party. But why does it keep doing that? Something happened on one of my keybinds. $29.99. You can imagine a lot of people play for an hour and 50 minutes, reach a certain point, and then they refund. Right? I don't think there's anything wrong with talking, like as a new player saying, these are some things I'm seeing. Now, the dev came in and was talking and was like, yeah, we recognize that. We're changing the combat. We understand the new player acquisition. We want to make I think the biggest thing, if they go through with it, is going to help them. We want to make the tutorial island or the tutorial free. I think that's the smartest thing. And I've talked about that in YouTube videos. Having a tutorial that's free is awesome because it allows people to see what they're getting and you don't have to process, process refunds. I don't want my progress to be hindered by other players. I'm all about fighting when I feel like it. And see, that's the other side of it. That's the other side of the argument. There are plenty of single-player games, not to be rude. And that's fine. There are plenty of single-player games. And that's why Pale World sold 4 million copies in 24 hours. And Mortal Online 2 has 900 people playing it. They're a business. So let's make every game Pal World. No, then we'll all be happy, right? No, and see, 9, this is why nobody wants to actually have a conversation with people like you. Because all you want is, you want to dig your feet in the sand and stomp your feet. I'm just putting out facts. How much more money would the developer have if they had 100,000 subs? Because subs means development money, which means developers, which means better servers. So the game is unique. You're talking about lining the developers' pockets. No, okay. Mortal Online 2 has sold 110,000. Mortal Online 2 sold 110,000 copies early on. You're right, you did, and it did. And how many of them are refunded? That's because here's the problem. If you sold 110,000 copies early on, but you've never had more than 9,800 concurrent players, that means a lot of people bought it, tried it, refunded it. Because you had less than a 10% retention rate. Less than 10% of the people. Not a lot, actually, since people were in the queue for 2 hours plus and couldn't refund. That is another problem. And absolutely, and I do remember that they did have problems with their servers at the beginning, but the problem is people are talking about lining the developer's pocket. 9, all you do is go to the polar extremes. Concurrent isn't the same as players per day. You are correct. Concurrent is not the same as players per day. That's why I do, if you were here a minute ago, I do ×3 because there's 3 major time zones. And then if you've been on my show any length of time, I do 2 numbers. I take whatever's there at a moment. I do ×3 and ×8. I do ×3 because there's 3 major gaming time zones. And then I do ×8 because I figure the average play session is 3 hours, 24 hours in a day, 8 revolving play sessions around the world. So I give for estimates as high as ×3 to ×8. So I'm a solo in this game and I die, but I adapt. I'm not saying the game doesn't need to adapt to survive, but we need to be very careful about what has changed so as to not take what sets this game apart. Yeah, the times 8. I always like the times 8, Demi. A lot of people give me shit for it because they say now you're just overinflating. I say, yeah, but we're giving a range. It doesn't hurt because even if we said times 8, now you've got 7,200 daily players. That's why I wish, and I asked Steam to do this a number of times. Why won't Steam just tell us how many unique players logged into the game every day? Eventually, nothing will set this game apart if it's dead, and that's the other problem. Eventually, you know, the actual number of players doesn't matter as long as the trend is downward. That is also true. The average player base is a downward spiral. What started this conversation is all I said was on their Steam sales page, when you see full loot, full PvP, you turn 50% of the eyes away from the game. If people see that the game is full loot, full PvP, 100 people look at your Steam page, those 4 words, 50 people stopped looking at it, which I think is a shame. And I'm not saying to cater to everybody, because you could turn around and say, I'm not interested in people that aren't interested in full loot, full PvP. Right? But remove full loot doesn't mean remove looting. See, Ashes of Creation is a game that's taking an approach on that's taking one approach on what will be dropped. Fractured is a game that was full loot drop, and 90% plus of people responding were like, full loot is going to kill this game. Maybe, and I don't know, I'm not far enough into Mortal Online 2 to know how big of a problem. So, and I've heard this a couple of times. It's not full loot now. Should we be enabling dropping trinkets? And again, I don't know what I don't know yet. I can't look at it right now. If you're not losing, if your trinkets are your best thing and you're not dropping those, then maybe that fixes the problem. But then maybe it's this simple of going to the Steam page and taking off the word full loot. See, the problem is I talk about full loot being a problem, and everybody immediately says, we can't change the soul of the game, damn it. Well, instead of being all defensive, be like, hey, Jay, did you know that the most important parts of your gear, you don't actually drop? Oh, so the game's not full loot drop anyway. And if it's not full loot drop anyway, then let's take the word full loot off of the Steam page and see if that doesn't help. Know what I'm saying? But let's get to making a shield here. Full loot isn't a problem in Mortal Online 2. It's people crying over their pixels. No, see, the problem is you just want to shift where it is. Full loot is the problem then because people are crying over their pixels. You might think it's stupid for them to be upset about losing, but they don't care what you think about. Full loot really isn't as big a deal as people think. Once you have 100 hours, you'll have enough resources and kits in every town for nearly infinite rekits. It's the concept of loss that upsets potential new players, because in reality, they don't lose much. That right there, if that is true, and I can get to that point where I can see it, then that would drive me to say the problem then... Oh, wait. Then the problem isn't the full loot. The problem is the full... I don't know where... It's not popping up. Then the full loot isn't... It shouldn't be called a full loot game. And then that might be all... That might be the only change, right? That might be the only change they need to make and say, we're going to... we're not going to call it a full loot game anymore. We're not going to call it a full loot game anymore. We're going to say it's a partial loot game, right? It's the grind. Mortal Online 2 is full-time job. Full loot wouldn't be an issue if it was easier to get material. Comparing Rust being close to Mortal Online 2 as a full loot game, but Rust is so easier to get why people keep playing. See, now, people have said, I've gotten two contradictory statements now. I've been told at 100 hours in, I'm going to have enough loot, and now you're saying that it's a grind. I see new players in help chat every day asking if their loot is gone after they died. I'm not sure the Steam description is the issue. Okay, 9, I'm just going to say this as plain as I can. My background is in marketing. You got to market a product for what it really is. If the demographic of online gamers is they don't want full loot, and you put full loot in your description, then people that don't want full loot games are instantly going to say, not the game for me, and they're going to swipe on it. And you're going to say, your response is going to be, I don't want those players, and that's fine, but which players do you want then? But will they feel lied to when they realize in-game? But again, if it's not full loot, then take the phrase full loot out. Because the game is either full loot or it's partial loot. If it's full loot, it means everything I'm 95% loot. Okay, but is it 95% if my trinkets and my cape are more expensive than my other pieces? So if are these my trinkets up here? I'm assuming, because there's no cursor over. It's like 95% loot of my inventory. Your trinkets are 10,000 times more expensive than your armor. Well, then that's where you need to, that's where you need to look at the verbiage for what you're selling. And like I said, the piece I want to go back to is this right here. When they say no classes or level, train the skills you want for your own unique build, they don't sell this to you anywhere in the tutorial yet. New players are not going to have access to good trinkets for a long time. Good, they shouldn't. Because getting your trinkets then that can't be lost is the reason you log in. If you just change the framing of the perspective, hey, do you lose progression when you die? Do you lose progression? You lose a little. You lose the gear you're wearing, but you don't lose your trinkets or capes. Well, what does that mean? Well, your trinkets are the really investment. Your trinkets are the really important part. You lose the gear, but you're gonna have enough gear sitting around. Yes, exactly. Your trinkets are the reason you grind, and you never lose that grind process. Now that I know that, because I didn't know that, because I'm brand new. I'm at 3 hours and 14 minutes, and I only looked at the character creator for a few minutes the first time before I fell ill. I know more about Mortal Online 2 now, and I can explain to people that say, well, all the problems are, I can be like, hold up. You're kind of missing the point. It's like in EVE Online, I derped a $9 billion ship, right? Yeah, that hurt. But when my CEO can just transaction me 9 billion ISK, what did I lose? Now, if I'm a fucking dumbass and I derp a fucking clone, which now I've heard you can't even do, that's a different story. Did I lose progression? Yes. Was it my own fault? Yes. A big point people aren't touching on is the time spent. It's more than having the capability to obtain gear. It's how much time a casual gamer will spend obtaining said gear and traveling to content. All with the heavy risk and failing often in their first weeks. If the player enjoys themselves getting back up and on the saddle, they thrive. If not, they go, why waste time? Yes, that is the problem. What kind of character am I making? I'm making a brand new character of somebody that has looked at no guides, who has no friends, who has no outside help except for ease of gameplay stuff. Someone says it's this menu here or do this, because that's tutorial stuff. Magic or melee? I don't know yet. And here's why. Here's why I say I don't know yet. Because the game hasn't introduced me to magic yet. I'm a thirster, so melee likely. Except the problem is magic, and this is a great point. Magic would be more my speed, more my style, right? More my speed, more my style. But they didn't tell me anything about magic yet. We also have a problem here. Close character window in inventory. Oh, okay. Congratulations, you have successfully completed this tutorial. We strongly recommend new players finish all the tutorials level. You can take 6 items with you. Don't be afraid to spend plenty of time here until you're ready to take on the vast, dangerous continent of Merland. Once you leave Haven and arrive on Merland, you will not be able to return. While on Merland and the outside of safety of guarded towns, players will be able to attack you and take your possessions. Now, here's my question. So my first question is to answer, hold on, I'm going to try to figure out something. So to answer a question from somebody earlier, when I finished my tutorial, do I intuitively know where to go to leave this island? No. This is also a problem. You should die. And I'm not trying to be funny, but if they're gonna put resurrect in the tutorial, then you need to die so that you see what resurrecting looks like. I'm just saying. And number 2, that's awesome. I love that. The turnover. Yeah, a bank, a library, a priest, a butcher. First of all, I love the simple things. I love the turnover feature, but no, I would have no idea how to leave. So far with my experience, they introduced me to melee combat, ranged combat, but not magic. So at this point, I'm at 3 hours, which would have been shorter if I wasn't streaming because I spend a lot of time talking. They definitely need to put magic into the new tutorial. Even if they take it away from you, right? Even if they put a little wizard there who says, this is what you're going to do. And, oh, you're not ready for that. Let me take all this shit back off your character sheet. Because right now, if I don't... I've been so overwhelmed since character creation, I've kind of forgotten that they talked about magic. If I didn't have a group of people here, I would have forgotten that they talked about magic being a thing. My other question for the audience, because I don't want to spend forever doing this, how high can I take my skills? If I just stayed here, like if I stayed in Haven, how high would I be able to take all of my skills, beating up pigs and skeletons, all the way up? So I could max my character inside the tutorial, not my crafting. Oh, all the skill books are not available. Okay. So you can't max everything, but you can max a lot. I think that's a problem too. And to swing the pendulum away from the Care Bear side of it, I think that's a problem too. I think you should not be able to be that developed in the starter zone. There's a few important skills you can't get. Yeah, I'm trying to book fender. So I've got to be right here. This is, oh, I could be over here. This is a petty thing for me. I will say this. This is just a petty thing for me. Please put a fucking dot on the map for people like me who need to know where they're at. Like, you are here. You don't need to put any other guide, dots, routes, idiot lights, but please put a dot that tells me there's no map in this game, man. What are you talking about? I'm looking at a map right here. I'm looking at a map. So don't tell me there's no fucking map. I'm looking at a motherfucking map. Put a dot on it. No map outside Haven. No, and that's fine. But if you're going to give somebody a map while they're trying to, because remember, it's an undetailed map, no dot by design. Hold on. Hold on. The guys, how many people fucking use a map and you don't know where you are? If you don't know where you are when using a map, why the fuck do you have a map? You have to know where you are in order for a map to be valuable. And that's fine. If all they got to do is say you are here. It's all it has to say. You are here. But that's not hand-holding. That's not hand-holding. To put a dot on the map that says you are here. That's not hand-holding. But no, I do get it. My paper map doesn't have a dot on it. That's their take, right? But when I'm in the real world, I know where I'm at, or at least I know where I think I'm at. Like, I assume now I'm at the library, right? So now I know where I'm at. I will argue that learning the map by heart is a skill, an important skill in this game. Knowing where everything is, where you are, is a big advantage. Oh, absolutely. Knowing the terrain is an advantage in every game. Absolutely. Not going to dispute that. But remember, some of you have been playing for 2 years, and some people have been playing for 2 hours. And the people who've been playing for 2 hours, they need a dot. You are here. Now, what you just said, public pinging? No. Routes? No. This? No. But you are here? Oh, shit. That's where I'm at.
See what I have for you.
Oh, holy hell. Wow. That's a lot. I still think vendors need to be renamed to traders if you have to give them something.
I have what you're looking for.
You must match the price. But then again, see, it's weird
Welcome
because
back.
it says hold R to trade. So you know it's a trade. But there's so much to this game. There's so much here.
Welcome back anytime.
You all have the same stuff? No, you don't. Reading this will teach you the skill mental training and then level it up passively. Okay. Concentration and focus 2. Concentration and focus 3. Look at the horrendous UI. You don't want to be a thirster mage. Don't threaten me with what I don't want to do for a good time.
Let me show you.
That's like, you're like the people who told me 20 years ago that I didn't want to be a Galka white mage. And okay, after, you know, 200 hours, I figured out I didn't want to be a Galka white mage. But sometimes you just gotta just fail on your own. If you're gonna go Thirster Mage, you're 100% not gonna have a good time. You're not gonna like it. You can't play however you want. You know what? I hold on. I'm gonna take that sentence apart real quick. I can play however I want. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. I might not be very effective, right? I can drive a car with my feet. That don't make it a good fucking idea, right? But I can do it.
Nice talking to you.
Can be a Thirster Mage or a few that does it. It's not the meta, but it's possible. See, and that's one thing I'm hearing from you guys. I'm hearing from you guys. And this is my fear because I've heard it from other players, other people before I even looked at the game. And there's another game that's doing, there's another game that people are running into this problem. I've been sick for a week. What's the new game that people are getting kicked out of groups if they're not the exact meta? Is it Helldivers 2? Some shit? Yeah, people are like, if you're not in the exact meta, they kick you out. Oh, it's... If you're not over age 65, you're sweating. I'm sweating because I'm sick. I've been sick. I had to get up today and do this game review. Because... Oh. If you're not over 65. No, I'm 22. Nobody told me. All right, now that I'm past the tutorial, somebody explained to me the age thing, because apparently the age thing is... Apparently age is this big thing too. Size and age. What? Now that age affects your stats. So you want older or younger? You shouldn't care if you're going to play however you want. Play 99. Well, you're right, but I already made my character. Max age is 80. See, I forgot what game I was just... There's a single player game I was playing that had the ages had a reason. But I forgot. It was like how much... It was like how much XP you got versus how much XP you already... Oh, Crusader Kings 3. It's how much... your age is dependent on how many skill points you have. Yeah, their new expansion comes out on March 4th. But yeah, Crusader Kings 3, if you start your character and character creator older, they have more skill points, but they're more likely to die. You will not have access to these items after leaving Haven. See, I like that. That's a really good thing for the tutorial item. Big, red, bold. I would just bold the entire thing. You can take 3 gold worth of stuff with you. There's a website called Mortal Data that's a giant build calculator. If you play around with age, weight, height on the attribute screen, you can see what happens. Okay, so I'll definitely look at that later. Mortaldata.com. Yeah, I'm looking at the builder, and I'd have to figure out being a mage and being the best, being the Ash of the mage world, being 10 years old with 22 years of experience. Aren't there yeah, there's potions that can change your age. No, if I was going to play for a long term, if I was going to play for the long term, I would dig into the calculator, and I would dig into the calculator, and I would min-max, because that's what you do in games like this. So there's instances. So not everybody is on. You have to travel between. So the game uses sharding. It's one server, but there's shards. Only on Haven though. Okay. Only Haven has instances. Okay.
Let me show you.
That's kind of can I just say that that's kind of weird that they would have that in Haven and nowhere else? Is that weird to me? Or was that because it's because Haven is very small? Okay. I mean, I think I've seen maybe 4 other players the whole time I've been playing, maybe 5. They added that on the launch debacle. Even the full map with 2.5k players feels overstuffed. They are in other havens. No, and that makes sense, right? That if they're in other havens, that makes absolutely great sense for why I've only run into 4 other players. But again, these are the things that, like, real simple when they pop that first tutorial box, right? See, because remember, words are free, text is free, communication is free. As soon as they pop that first tutorial box, and don't worry if you see other players, Haven, parentheses, and only Haven uses instancing. There'll be a lot more players when you get out into the world. And then that immediately in that first experience to the world of the player, they say, oh, now they might have some other questions like, well, why the hell do you have instancing? But that's a different story. Like, I wasn't worried that I only saw 4 other players because it's a game that's been out for 2 years. And it's a random Thursday. I wasn't expecting to see a lot of other players. But now that I know they're sharding, right? Right now, someone sees a deserted town with some NPCs and logs out. Exactly. And then the problem is somebody logs in, sees... there could be a player who logs in, doesn't see anybody, and logs out. Like, I remember back in the day when I got some people to try Final Fantasy XI. They all logged in, and the starter town for them was completely dead. And they said, there's nobody here. I said, yeah, because nobody hangs out in that town, Windhurst. Nobody's there. And they said, well, when does it get better? I said, don't worry. As soon as you, like, Windhurst was the side of the world nobody wanted to start on. I said, once we get you to the other side of the world, it'll be fine. And then they did. And they're like, oh. Then we got to Juneau and they were like, oh, people. I'm not killing young pigs. I have standards. But no, I think so far, because my first day was to look at the game as a new player. And now I'm just hanging out in the starter area because I don't want anyone to tell me. But I want to go east. Because another thing, Haven does try to populate already populated heavens. For example, if you switch to an empty instance, the game will start dumping new characters in it shortly after. That's good. The big problem here is I do not remember what the name of the mainland is. No. Where something land? Come here, pig. Mirrorland. Stab with the spear. Yes. Stab with the spear. Actually, set that earlier. I don't know why it didn't stay. Does that turn off every time you switch weapons? Because if that's the case, that's going to get a little obnoxious. The game is supposed to have lore. I will say this, and some people that are all about mechanics are gonna growl at me all you want. If you want people to care about the game, they have to care about their character. And the only way they can care about their character is if they know something about their character. Why I can't play World of Warcraft anymore is because I can't start World of Warcraft today and play through it the same way I played through it 20 years ago. The Forsaken starting story is different, and it's bad. If you start Final Fantasy 14 today, you play through the same story that I played through 8 years ago. The only thing that's changed is they took out about 100 of the Prey Return to the Walking Sands. It's Waking Sands, but the joke is the Walking Sands because you're always walking there. They took out about 100 of those quests. Other than that, everybody plays through the same story. Now, do you need to have that? I don't know. But the biggest thing I've heard from people is that, truthfully, the not understanding WoW is why a lot of people who've tried to pick up WoW have said, I can't do this. Now, I know you're going to say the story's not why people don't play WoW. It's crap graphics or crap this or crap that. You're right. There's people leave games for their own reasons. But if somebody says, I just couldn't feel an attachment to what was going on because everybody is working on Dragonflight and I'm still in vanilla, well, there's a problem. Okay, we're heading east. We're looking for the graveyard, and then we're going to go south to the dungeon. You know what I'm saying? World building is a must. People have to feel a connection. Right now, and I get it. I get the developer. The developer's like, well, we built you a sandbox. That's great. Then why are we all just not humans? Why are there different races? If you built us a sandbox, you built the races. What are they for? Hey, Gaius. You know, it's like you built this. This is your starting world. You built a sandbox. Give me a little bit more. Like, I'll be honest, I don't feel a connection to my character. Not yet. Should I feel a connection to my character after the tutorial? Yeah. Because that's what gets me to log in tomorrow. People are like, well, you build your own story. Yeah, graveyard's on the left, so now I want to go south. Headed south. South from the graveyard. Because they promised me a dungeon. Is that not the road? Okay. Great. Oh, that's going back that way. Sorry. Your character often just becomes you in a full loot PvP game. It's hard to strip out your own identity. You're right. You're absolutely right. No, you guys can't see. Oh yeah, I was thinking I was going this way. I like the simple map. It's a refreshing change. I've been playing Final Fantasy a lot. So I've been basically, here's a big yellow circle, go there. That's the thing that I will say. You gotta break people of their dependence on the GPS. I think once you do that, a lot of people will have more fun. I remember spending hours looking for stuff. Like, I'm one of the few people that pieced together the lore of 7 Days to Die early on. I love the lore in that game. And you're like, what, lore? Yeah, there's lore. Go find it. Website has pages of lore, and there's some notes scattered around the world. It's good. They should voice act more things in the game for the immersion. Now, I agree with you. Voice acting is great, and I'm sorry, I'm still sick. Voice acting is great. Except it takes an awful lot of money to put voice acting in. And in order to have a lot of money, you got to have a lot of subscribers. But voice acting itself doesn't make you any money. Voice acting is like gravy. You don't walk into the restaurant and say, give me a big, no. I know what you're going to say, AI voice. If you're not gonna have great AI voice, then don't do it at all. But no, I agree with you. We're almost there. We're almost there. But you don't walk into the restaurant and ask for a big bowl of gravy. You walk in and you ask for mashed potatoes and gravy. Gravy is great, but you don't just drink a big bowl of gravy. Now watch, somebody in here does drink big bowls of gravy and it turned me into a liar. What time is it? All right, well, this is sexy. You feel called out? Unless it's KFC gravy. Yeah. When you're in the operating room and the doctor says we fucked up and you say how bad and the doctor says we replaced all your blood with KFC gravy. Oh, hi. You're a bandit. Oh, they parry, or they block back. Oh my lord. Wait, you can't parry off of a shield block? What's going on here? You can? Oh, that's right. Somebody told me this earlier. I need to bind a key to, I gotta bind, I gotta do the bind for forward because it's not W. Somebody told me this earlier. Whoa. Yeah. Wow, they don't give up, do they? Yeah, I'm using keyboard instead of I'm using keyboard block. instead of mouse. Left attack, right attack. Full attack. Mouse is much easier. Yeah, it's something that I'll have to play around with. Overhead attack is also overhead block. Yeah, it's something I'll have to play around with. Try mouse for blocking. It's easier. Well, it wasn't easier for me because it took me forever to finish my parry quest. Is there a reason why you're not letting me? Thrust attack is also down block, which should be default block. Yeah. What I will say is, not that I don't enjoy the game, but those of you, because most of you don't know me, I've suffered a lot of. I'm ex-military, and I've suffered a lot of damage to my neck, my C2, C3, my shoulder, and my hand. So I have a lot of problems telling my left hand what I want it to do. So I would have to sit here on Tutorial Island for a long time to get used to the combat, which is why magic might be something that would be slightly easier for me. I'm not usually a melee player. No, I wasn't firing a big ass gun. I wish I had a really cool story to tell, but it was, I tore my rotator cuff and they were trying to put my surgical anchor in, and when they were drilling in the surgical anchor, they eggshell spider fractured my upper arm, and it was going to take 3 years to heal, and the military was downsizing back in 2016, and they said, we're not going to let you stay in, we're going to just give you your pension and have your medical retirement. So yeah, I'm gonna try the next time. I'm gonna try to learn about magic, and see that before I leave the tutorial island. I want to learn about magic. I was promised a dungeon. It's good. I could clearly hear other things. I did change out my neck headphone because I hurt my C2, C3 again, so I needed to get the weight off of my neck. It's just, it sucks. It's life. It is what it is. I want to thank everybody who popped in today. I am definitely going to take another look at Mortal Online. I'm going to try to carve out some time on Saturday to play, and learn about magic. How much do you want to experience in Haven? I want to learn magic before I leave Haven, because then I'll know what I don't know, and I'll know more of what I do know. You will learn more in mainland, right? I will learn more in mainland. I get that. I understand it, but I have a, how can I say this? I have lenses that I just knocked off my damn pop filter. I have lenses that I want to look at the game through, and that is a completely new player, because what I really want to do is be able to give feedback back to the developer and say, this is what I encountered as a new player. Like, just off the cuff, I'm going to bet, right? I'm going to bet that there's better armor than leather for somebody who wants to be a mage. Now, do I know that? No, I don't. But it does 20 years of gaming tell me that there will be cloth and there will be plate? Yeah, 20 years of gaming tells me there will be cloth and there will be plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop for today, because I am getting over being sick and I don't want to get sicker. I will be back on Saturday, and I want to figure out magic on Saturday, and then I'll probably do a reroll to a real character. I'll probably talk to the community and be like I'll probably have like 17 opinions going on at once. Like, what's the best for this? Why? What's the best for this? Why? and then maybe be able to roll that up to the developers and say, hey, people don't know what's good because there's gaps in the tutorial, because I know they're rewriting the tutorial. So maybe, hey, like the fact that magic isn't taught to you in the tutorial is a huge one. So I'm going to thank everybody who stopped by today, and I'm going to do this again on Saturday to learn more about magic.